Things are about to get spicy in part 2 of our exclusive interview with lawyer to Diddy Accusers, Ariel Mitchell. If you missed part 1, click up here. Otherwise, without further ado, this is the interview. Well, that's my next big question, and I'm just curious your response, because everybody's asked, said that, and Courtney's then in possession of something that potentially is criminal if they're underage. Now, granted, he may not have known, etc., but it's unclear. I can understand why he might change his story if he didn't know or whatever. But I guess what is the response or worry there if he's your client, if now he's been holding on to for a while a USB drive that potentially had minors on it?
I'm not sure in terms of what let me say, what exactly do you want me to respond to in that question?
Is that, I guess, because I understand why this is a hard question to answer, and I'll ask it again more specifically. Right. Is it problematic for Courtney if it turns out he had a hard drive with minors on it alleging in this kind of behavior?
So there's a intent component to any criminal law, right? You have to have intent, right? So if Courtney didn't intend to receive or didn't intend to consume, I think that's where we might have a little asterisk, if you will.
Got it. Because he's claimed he hasn't watched it all. Some people believe that or not. It is what it is. Chris has attested this too. I know he doesn't even like watching that kind of stuff, so he wouldn't know.
I mean, I think it's important, Courtney, I wish Courtney would talk more about it, he's a Mormon. So if you understand his religious background, then it would make sense why he wouldn't consume that kind of material.
Yeah, 100%. But I did know that about him. Chris said that, defended sort of him in that regard, but he also was on these interviews saying it. Well, there was at least 3 to 4 underage, which implies he knew. That's where I guess things are getting wonky for a lot of us, of just like, well, then why were you holding on to it, and not giving it to the feds immediately?
3 to 4. I've heard 2 to 3 is the number.
But either way, and again, I don't mean to be, I'd love to talk to Courtney, but you're the sort of repping him. Like, again, that concern of, you knew 3 to 4 people potentially, why wouldn't you give that to the feds right away?
Well, that becomes a question of if he didn't have it to give to them. So to my understanding, he got rid of them. I don't know when he got rid of them, but by the time I came to represent him in October, he didn't have them anymore. So that's a question you would have to ask Courtney, why he didn't come.
Got it. So by then, that theory, what you're saying, unless, again, you're allowed to lie, I guess you're the lawyer. You have to protect everybody, to be fair. And I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying I understand you have to be careful is what I mean by that. But you said the feds have pieces that Courtney has given. So that's where I guess I'm just confused, but you can't elaborate on what those pieces are.
Whatever Mr. Burgess had from those drives remaining in his possession are now in the possession of the U.S. government.
Okay. And can you elaborate if, I guess I'm going to ask it, even though you're not going to answer it. You can't confirm if those were the potential tapes that may have had minors on them.
I did not view what he gave the government.
She's good. I love that answer. She's good. She is. I know, and I mean that because, look, and I appreciate your being candid and transparent about that. Some might say that's going to get you in trouble. Some might say that's not good for the clients. Like, what is your feeling there? How do you respond to that type of criticism?
Well, I haven't had any clients complain. If anything, I've had only more clients come to ask me for representation. So just in real practice, that doesn't matter. In this situation, me and Courtney's representation technically is over. Our representation was to the grand jury hearing. We went and did that. So now there's nothing really more to do in regards to that.
Right. And I don't feel like you're speaking out of turn, honestly, here either, because he's said it on multiple streams, multiple times. Do you think that's troublesome or worrisome for a client to be out there doing so many appearances?
So I think people need to understand, and I think they're not comprehending the difference between somebody like Courtney and somebody like one of my clients, a victim I represent. Courtney isn't a victim. Courtney doesn't have a lawsuit against Diddy. He's not a plaintiff against Diddy. So he has no ongoing case where his statements can be used against him as a statement of a party opponent in a lawsuit. So because of that, what he says doesn't matter. Now, when I have my plaintiffs and my sexual assault clients who, as you know, I dropped one of my clients because, as we know, we were having some issues about press who
Well, I was gonna.
she
I
brought.
didn't want to put you on the spot, but you did have one person complain. Yes, you just brought it up.
Yeah, because I had a client who was more interested in talking about the press, not understanding the ramifications of these statements she was making. That all of these statements she was making were one, opening herself up to liability because she's talking about other people who are not in the lawsuit, who she's not protected by litigation privilege. And then all of the things that she said can be played in front of a jury to test her credibility in our lawsuit. So
Yeah.
I think we need to understand the importance of people who have lawsuits and why they have their lawyer speaking on their behalf. Because if I say something and my client says something, what my client says can become evidence. What I say is hearsay, even if I say the exact same thing. And then it's harder to get what I said in versus what they said in. So that's just a basic understanding of how the law works. And I can't make everybody understand those basic tenets, and everybody's interests aren't always aligned. So, when that happens, people have to separate.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I'm not going to say that person's name, but she's continuing to say some very, very damning stuff. And I'm not out here I don't want to beef with you. I'm not trying to start a beef, but it worries me if she was on my channel saying some of the things she's saying. I would be worried about liability. No, anybody should.
Look, you brought up the Piers situation. What happened? I was on that panel with Jaguar Wright and Vlad and me that ended up having to get retracted because of cease and desist from Jay-Z and Beyonce. So it was, things, when you do things like that, that's what I mean. You open yourself up to liability when you start making statements about other people, whether you may or may not have knowledge of it, is irrelevant because you're speaking about things that could lead you to being sued yourself.
Well, I'm glad you read that. What was your thoughts on that? Because I was kind of surprised Piers did edit it because he made it clear, look, I'm not supporting this. Vlad even came on after. That's not true. Did you think were you surprised that Spiro did that and that Pierce's company clipped it?
I'm not surprised. I remember when I was sitting in my living room and hearing it live, my jaw was on the floor. I couldn't believe that Piers didn't cut her mic, quite frankly. I wouldn't have allowed her to say what she was saying on my platform only because of the liableness of it. And Piers has something to lose. So I have to imagine that they figured out what the UK laws are because Piers is not even an American entity. So
yeah, it's different.
Yeah, he has different laws over there. You'd have to go sue him. And, a regular person threatening Piers doesn't mean anything, but I think we all know Jay-Z and Beyonce has the means and connections to sue him across the pond. So I think that's the only thing is he knows that their threats aren't an empty threat. And that's why he did it. That's why he retracted it.
Well, Jaguar's also got on stream saying you're working for Spiro, you're working for Diddy, you're a Diddy agent.
I wish I worked for, not Diddy though. I wish I worked for Spiro or anybody else.
He's a damn good lawyer. That Alec Baldwin case was, I couldn't even believe it. I was like watching one of the best lawyering I think I've ever, not enough people watched that finale. It was the best season finale to a trial ever. But no, he's a damn good lawyer, right? So that's when he's coming at you, it's a little bit different, right? And so what do people like Jaguar, what are they supposed to do? Like, do you like if she's telling the truth and she's out there saying the truth and they're not coming after her, they're just sending demand letters to Piers, does that make Jay-Z and Beyonce look less, like they're being lied on?
Any good lawyer is going to tell their client not to go after somebody who you can't collect from. There's no point in spending good money to go after somebody who you can't get anything. You can't bleed a turnip, right? So I think that's the main reason most of these people aren't. It's twofold, right? So there's nothing there, right? And in terms of financial gain, she's not a millionaire. She doesn't have something that you can attach to.
Which, no disrespect, unlike Piers and his corporations that own that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying, no disrespect to Jaguar at all. I'm just saying she's not a conglomerate that millions of dollars can be attributed to that can be siphoned from in a jury verdict, for example. So, and then the other part of it is if they go after Jaguar, then people change the narrative. Well, oh, they trying to silence Jaguar. Oh, she must be telling the truth. So it's like you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. You might as well just not say anything.
So I mean, do you think there is something going on here? Because when I see this, and I also see today's news that they're potentially like taking away his private notes. Like there's one part that's like, these are good points Diddy's defense are making. It's kind of helping him. It looks like there are some liars in the midst just trying to get him. It looks like they're just keeping him detained and then taking his own letters, not even letting him have a fair trial. Do you worry some of this circus, if you will, and control could actually hurt the case?
No, there's been, I feel like, bigger circuses, and jails do sweeps all the time. So to say that Agnafilo wrote a whole motion about me and left out the fact that he talked to Courtney Burgess without counsel being present, and lied. And Agnafilo is one of the biggest liars in all of the group of attorneys. He got on TMZ and national television and told everybody Diddy bought baby oil from Costco. And that was even dumb because why even answer that question that way? Like he could have just answered the question, well, it's not illegal to own baby oil. And even if he owned $1 million of baby oil, that wouldn't be a crime. So I don't even know why we're discussing this. No, instead he pulled the dumbest lie out of his behind and talked about Costco, which anybody who lives in Miami knows there isn't even a Costco in Miami. And I was like, I'm going to start pulling out my certificate from my executive membership that has my last year's savings on it with my $69 that I earned from last year as a Costco executive member. Who knows? Costco don't even sell baby oil, especially not Johnson & Johnson baby oil. Like
I'm not even a lawyer, and I know
brand.
You can't do that. You can't ask a question you don't know the answer to. And of course, you got to know. You got to go check. Does Costco sell baby oil? Okay, we can't use that excuse, and he just put it out there. And I get you calling him an idiot and all this doesn't help Jaguar's case
Costco
that you're working with them.
Yeah, and call him a liar. Like it's a big thing for Costco, who minding their business, is a huge corporation, to take time out of their busy schedule to call you a liar. And last time I checked, Agnafilo is the only lawyer who has been called a liar by a major corporation. Even Tony Busby hasn't been called a liar by a third party corporation.
Fair. Okay. And then as we wrap up, because I thank you for the time, just coming back to this, ending on this, like, you didn't have the tapes, you never saw the tapes, but do you know who the tapes and the book came from? And do you think it's real?
Now I understand that they seem to have originated from the drives that Courtney received. Where Courtney got them and the person Courtney got them from, I guess you'll have to let Courtney tell who. I think he has said, but determined. But to my understanding, all of these things derived from the drives that Courtney received. I have no reason to not believe them to be true.
But you don't know where Courtney got them. You don't know that, or that's Courtney's thing to reveal.
Correct.
Do you believe all the contents on Courtney's drive to be accurate? You saw some of it. You think the Kim Porter book is real, all of that?
Yes, correct. I do think it's real. I think the book is real. I think all of the things that Courtney says existed on the drives, including the still that I saw, to be real. I mean, AI is crazy. I didn't see a moving video. I just saw a screenshot. So, anything could be anything. Anybody could have done that. I don't know why they would have, but let's just say anything is possible. But I have no reason to believe that these things are not authentic.
Okay, noted. And then Courtney and Chris seem to be fighting. Are they going to eventually get along, you think? Do you think that beef will keep getting hot, or will it sail? What is your instinct on that as the two people you've had in your life?
I hope we can all get a resolve once we just move past all of this. I think right now, because it's so much media coverage and there are all these people speculating, and I think the media, these platforms that everybody's going on saying this and saying that, is kind of driving the narrative of the wedge between them. I have to hope that, just maybe even if we can't get along, everybody can just eventually move on, and at the very minimum. But I don't think
I invite all
again,
three of you. Come on here. We'll all shake hands. Let's all because to me, what
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with anybody.
I feel like we're losing face of what's at stake and what's important, which was Kim Porter's voice. That's what it's supposed to be about, not about Chris Todd or Courtney or them, which some of them have made it about them. And I wish we could just get them to stop making it about other things and focus on this was real. We got to focus on this and help. The more we do that, the more real it looks, the more real we can prove it is, the more sincere that is, and the more that affects Diddy, because that's what's all this is supposed to be. So I want to end on that.
Well, I want to say, just looking at it, if you notice that Chris Todd doesn't really start coming out doing interviews until after I did my interview at the end of September. So, I didn't really, that was like, oh, okay, well, now the cat's out the bag, if you will. I kind of thought once I started seeing him do interviews. But I think I agree with you that people are interested. The reason why the book was a #1 seller is because people are vested in Kim's life and I think what we all saw to a degree of what he may have done to her. So to that end, I think that's why people are interested. I try to keep the victims always in the forefront, and the victims are typically my clients. So, but I'm also having to represent the best interests of my clients. And right now, Kim Porter isn't my client, Courtney Burgess is. So I have to just deal with the task in front of me. But I've seen Courtney do interviews or, heard him say when I've been in interviews with him is he's always apologizing to Kim's children. And I feel he feels a genuine hurt for them about what happened to their mom, and more importantly, any negativity that could have came from this book coming out, because I don't think that was his intent at all.
Well, and you told me you have more victims coming. Is that true? Are there more potential victims against Diddy that you'll be representing soon?
Yes, I have a case that I'll be filing right before Thanksgiving in New York for a client in Oklahoma. And she traveled from Oklahoma to New York, where she actually won a trip to go to a Diddy party from the radio station. And so we will be filing a lawsuit against Diddy, the radio station, and the record label who financed and promoted that event. I have another case that'll be coming out right before Christmas, and then one more case right before New Year's.
So the cases against Diddy are not stopping. You'll be there. Look, I'm glad we had this talk. I feel much better about you. I thank you for coming here and opening it up. And I hope we can have an open invite to have you back, clarify things in the future. I think that's the best way to go about. So bravo to you. Anything else you want to add or say to the audience out there?
No, just I would like everybody to keep in mind, especially when we're talking about the victims, that these are people who are traumatized. So, maybe be a little more kind in how you're evaluating them, because these are people who have been through traumatic circumstances and are now trying to find their voice and tell their story. And the last thing they need is people calling them liars or making fun of them, because put yourself in their predicament. How would you feel if this has happened to you? And then you finally come out and this is the response you're getting from people. So I will hope, we all have a little more sensitivity to everybody, even to Diddy. I think Diddy is sick. He needs help, because no sane person, no well person would have done all of what he just done. So if we just have a little more compassion for everybody and understanding, then maybe we can help one another and ensure in our future we are not experiencing this continuously.
There it is. Well, welcome. Thank you for that. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming to the show. And I loved having you on. Let's talk again further. Good for her. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for all alerts, smash that like button as well when you get those alerts, and leave your comments down below. Were you always a fan of Ariel? Did she help change your mind? Do you like her better? Tell us down below. Again, when you got those other cases, we are all for the victims. We will help spread the word on their stories. So make sure you let us know when you file those. Appreciate what you're doing. Let's keep it on the victims. I love hearing that. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming for you, so don't miss it.